this could be what we need to talk about. So here's my question for you. I'm going to start with you, John, and I'm coming to you, Max. Right?
Okay.
Fast forward 12 months. It's January 2022. We are out of this situation. Do you think, John, that we will have people working back in the office 100% of the time, or we're still in this very fluid state? There's no in between. It's 100. There's only two options here: it's back in the office, or it's fluid state. That's it. There's no 76, no 3 days, 2 days, like everyone's saying. It's we're back in because we've gone back to command control, or it's no. The world has proven it can work from home, and we are all happy to have work-life balance. We're going one of two ways. That's it. What's your answer? Just one answer. No rationale. No debate. We're back in command and control.
I've answered fluid.
We're fluid. We're like, ooh, okay. Max, we're going left or we're going right? We're back in or we're staying at home?
I think fluid, mate. I agree with JD.
Hang on, let me clarify, because fluid does sound a bit in the middle. It's not in the middle. It's we're working from home. We might occasionally go in to pick up something that I left in the office because I've not been there for a year. We're working from home. Or we're back in the office. There's no in between.
Yeah, but that's not a good question, because there isn't in between.
No, but there isn't. That's what I'm saying. We know there's in between, and the answer will always be in between, because we're all going to sit on the fence.
I don't think that people, in the broadest sense of people, will want to go back to commuting 5 days a week. I think everyone's understood the dead time that has. I think everyone's appreciated being able to work from home, and I don't think, given the opportunity, anyone would choose to go back to the office 5 days a week.
Right. Did I ask? I'll ask for your rationale in a minute. I appreciate you giving it to me. Thank you very much. There's only two options. We're back in the office or we're working from home. There's no in between. John, staying at home. You're staying at home, John.
I'm staying at home, mate.
John's staying at home. He's staying at home, and he's staying at home. Max, what are you doing?
Staying at home.
You're staying at home. See, that's what I'm not playing devil's advocate. I think if we were leaning more to the left or more to the right, and right is staying at home, and left is we're going back in the office, I think in 12 months' time we're going to be going back into the office. And I'm now having more conversations with clients and candidates where clients are now saying, by the way, we will be back in the office, and we need to brief the candidates as such that we will be an office-based culture. Don't get me wrong, I do think there's going to be 1 day here and 1 day there, or it's 3 days for 2 days or 4 days 1 day. But I think humans are sociable animals, sociable creatures. And I think certainly in metro centres like Manchester, like London, where we all work, people will naturally gravitate back to offices.
So Neil, I don't disagree with that comment that people will gravitate back to an office. However, there is not going to be the two scenarios that you gave me. I'm not going to.
I know. It makes for a better podcast if there's a.
I agree, but I think COVID has accelerated the pace for change exponentially. And I think people now think very, very differently about work flexibility and work-life balance. So as much as you're going to hate me saying it, there is going to be that 2 days, 3 days in the office, 2 days, 3 days from home. We are social animals. People do want to get in an office and be around each other, and people do want to, when we can, safety first, clearly, be in a pub together. There is always going to be that, because we are social people. We're in sales, right? We're going to want to do that. But I just think there is going to be that bit in the middle where it is a few days in the office, a few days from home.
So I'll never hate you for saying it, Max. I won't hate you for it.
So do you actually, so take the client side out of it, what do you actually think? Do you think it is, if you only had two options, would you revert back to 100% in the office 5 days a week?
Well, there's not going to be two options, is there, Max? There's always going to be the bit in the middle.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I do think that there is a massive opportunity as you find yourself somewhere in the middle. You look at diversity in the workplace and all the rest of it. You look at the war for talent. You look at the fact that there are a number of roles that are tough to recruit. If companies are able to offer a level of flexibility, and I just don't think there's many people out there that want to go back to 5 days a week in an office. I think most people would go, do you know what, it'd be great to go in 3 days a week, but I like the fact that I can have some flexibility. I like the fact that I can be super productive at home. I can have, whether it's a planning day, however you want to dress those days up. But I think businesses have proved that they can be productive. But I think there is an opportunity to look at a talent pool, the talent in Manchester, the talent in London, the talent in these big metro centres. There's a huge amount of competition, but there's also some great people that live an hour outside Manchester that wouldn't commute into Manchester. But do you know what they might do on 1 or 2 day basis? So all of a sudden, companies are opening themselves up for an opportunity to increase their employment pool, increase maybe even the caliber of people that they're looking at, because they're able to look at people who would only need to be in the offices for a certain amount of days in a week. And I think that businesses that adopt that will give themselves a competitive advantage. I think if you start to go back and go, first 6 months, everyone's like, yeah, we're back in the offices, it's great. I think that commuter grind, you think about the tubes in London, suddenly everyone back on them. You think about everyone back on the trams in Manchester, 5 days a week. It'll be fine. It's spring, summer, everyone's excited, gets dark again. It's raining in Manchester. Clearly in London, the sun's shining. It's semi-tropical in November. And, it's all good. But I think the first 6 months, there'll be a feel-good factor of people going back together again. But I think that companies going into it with a level of, how do we do this for the long term, not the short term? We're going to have offices. We will have an office in Manchester. We'll have our office in London. We'll have an office in all the locations. But I think what that office looks and feels like will be very, very different in 12 months, 24 months time to what it looked like 12 months ago.
No, so no one can argue with that, right? Because that's just common sense, right? But, however...
You're going to.
Well, I do think there's a chance. I'm not saying this will happen, but should we consider, I think most people would say, yeah, 2 days, 3 days is the right split. I mean, at the end of the day, why do people need to be in an office? Okay, there's the social aspect. I think, yes, people have proved they can be productive at home, but are they as productive as a whole, as the whole company as productive, as the whole organization? And where I'm getting to on this is, I think people would still say it's easier to problem solve when you're together. When you're face to face, if you're in a meeting room face to face discussing a problem, I still think that's easier than when you're over Teams. With the collaboration tools, Teams, Zoom, whatever we're using, Slack, messenger services, WhatsApp, Trello boards, all the collaboration technology tools people have got. I think there's still more. You can still innovate, create, improve, solve problems when you're together. I still believe that. And I think that maybe we go back to the offices 2 days a week, but not everyone's going to be in at the same time. So there's still going to be that, 3 or 4 people of a software engineering team are in the office today, and we're going to be running some agile ceremonies, and we're going to be brainstorming ideas, whatever. But somebody is still coming in remotely. That creates a different environment. When everyone's on to Zoom or Teams, it's one environment. Everyone's in the office is another. But the interaction of both creates a challenge.
Yep.
And the other thing is, let's say the other thing about working from home now, it's not about we've all proved we can be productive, which is what I hear a lot. I think it comes down to leadership in businesses don't trust their staff to work without a BDI on them. I think people have overcome. I think people have proven that the level of responsibility they're prepared to take and still prepared to work hard and be more efficient with their time. But once we go back in the offices, if we don't break that command control leadership style that does exist in certain industries and in certain sizes of businesses, all sizes of businesses, 2 days will become 3 days when leadership decide that we've got this meeting on this day and I need you in. And 3 days could become 4 days. And maybe by this time in 2 or 3 years, maybe the 4 days has become 5 days, potentially.
I think I'm not trying to put the recruitment slant on it, which is very, very difficult in these types of conversations. But I do think that if business leaders, business owners that have that mindset very early on, emerging out of COVID, to John's point, on the flip side, I think those businesses are going to struggle to attract, retain, and promote from within their organizations, because there's going to be another business that is offering a more agile, flexible style of business, style of approach to suit that individual. It's not going to happen in every single business, but I think there are going to be a number of organizations that do struggle if they go straight into that approach as we emerge out of this. So Luke, that's just my opinion, but that's
I think the attraction retention is key, but likewise, it's only just started happening maybe just before Christmas. Live situations where candidates are looking at 100% remote opportunities versus opportunities where there is an office. It might not be it's not a 5 day a week culture, but there is an office that they can go to, that is a touchdown space where they can collaborate, they can meet. And does offer that social outlet, and you've got to think maybe different demographics within the workplace environment that's going to suit better. But I'm now seeing candidates not wanting to accept roles because they are 100% remote.
I think that's I don't want to say that's obvious. I don't think I would not want to be able to come into a workplace. I don't think you go back to. I think you said it. By nature, we are generally fairly sociable people, and like to feel part of something. And I think if you are 100% remote, it's tough to have that same sense of well-being. What it actually looks like and the mechanics of how it works on a day-to-day basis, I think will, in the same way everyone's suddenly having to work from home, it got worked out. I think it'll work its way back in. I think the vaccine comes in and you're going to have some people have had their vaccine, some people that haven't. It's going to be, it's not all going to happen at the same time. So I think it's going to be an interesting 6 to 12 months. I do think that there'll be a surge of people going back into the offices. Let's just say April, May time, because everyone's vaccinated. The sun's hopefully going to be shining. The bars are going to be open. Everyone hasn't seen each other for a long time. Everyone's going to be, very, very eager to be back in the offices and all the rest of it. I think that will fade, and I think businesses need to be aware that feel-good factor of everyone coming back in. I'm not sure it's going to last forever, and I think people will then hark back to it was quite good. It was quite nice being able to have that balance of time. But again, you've got people with young families, and it's tough to work from home. So you've got some people who live on their own that might do want to come into the offices every day. So I think it's about the going back to your comment at the beginning, it's either here or it's here. I think what's going to end up is companies will have to have 5, 6, 10, half a dozen, infinite numbers of flexible ways that they're working with each member of staff to suit individuals' lifestyles. And I think if you are able to do that, you'll have a competitive advantage when you're hiring.
But that's sitting in the middle. That's sitting on the fence in the middle. That's why I said it at the beginning. But I think you're right. Well, I think we don't agree. It just makes for an average podcast, doesn't it?
I think what will be interesting is from a company perspective. Let's just say you've got a head office in the centre of London. Now, if that is consistently 50% capacity, are you going to change how you do that? Are you going to look at having a touchdown space that's in the home counties, that's easier for people to get to? Are you going to look at how you work with those home-based people to give them much smaller touchdown spaces? So as opposed to us having one metro centre in London or Manchester, you have a I don't know, a touchdown place in South Manchester. You have somewhere up north from the Lancashire market. You might have somewhere over in Liverpool, and that sort of what we traditionally used to call hub and spoke, but the hub is much smaller. So you're allowing people to collaborate on a daily basis, but in a far more cost-effective way. And you look at the sort of touchdown space providers. You look at some of the city centres or town centres, probably better, where shops, retail units have closed. They become sort of cafe work areas. Is there a whole way that this will change to create a new way that people work?
I think back to the point about the 50% occupancy. I think most larger businesses or businesses with a larger real estate plan or as a bigger part of their strategy. I think many businesses are in that. If you manage the flow of people in and out your office, you rarely, even pre-COVID, I think it was like 82% was probably the number of people you'd ever have in your office on any given day, because of annual leave takes people out of the office 10% of the time. So and if people are in and out meetings, inside, off-site, etc. I think 82% is the number. So I think where it becomes harder is that's harder to manage for a business with a smaller footplate. Office space, because the fluctuations are going to be a higher percentage. If let's say 10 people are in the office, you're never going to get 82% because it's impossible to get 0.2 of a person in there. So your maths becomes challenging. Therefore, the variable, the space required needs to be bigger, and the cost efficiency becomes less. And so therefore, certain branded real estate providers that their USP is the coffee shop style touchdown space that you can use. Some of them are in the press and having real challenges because they're not flexible enough. And I think is there going to be situations where smaller, 2, 3, or 4 businesses with smaller real estate footplates start to collaborate and work together to share that office space, because then they can get the efficiency of the numbers of people coming in and or working from home.
Yep. And I think it's certainly from a small and medium-sized business, we put ourselves in that place. You would look at how much we spend on rent, and you would go, right, how there are definitely ways that we can be more efficient, and by utilising a model where you've got people not in the offices 5 days a week, and you create something that's slightly different. I do believe that you would be able to create more profitable businesses, and I think that draw is certainly there.
Well, look, gentlemen, as always, the clock will beat us. And while we never expected to bottom the subject out, we managed to get a few controversial points across and a few sensible ones as well. So any other final comments, Max, John, anything we might have missed?
Not at all, mate. Probably take far longer. We'd have to have a longer podcast.
I think there are probably far more. I think at the end of the day, there are always going to be far more intelligent people that have an in-depth understanding of the real estate sector and how it's going to evolve. But I think our viewpoints are always going to be coming from what we're hearing from our customers, hopefully with the vaccine on its way and a potential light at the end of the tunnel, I think all businesses will be having to execute upon all the ideas that they've been discussing over the last couple of months. So
So one question to you both then. When do you think you're going to be back in your office with your team?
May.
I'm going to say April just because Neil said May.
31st of April.
It's going to be fluid, isn't it? I don't see. We're not all going to be back in 5 days a week, right? But
when do you think the first time you're going to be back in with your whole team?
First, in some type of tiering capacity. Yeah, probably is April then, isn't it? I think we'll be out of tiers in April.
I think April. Yeah.
I'm in tiers most nights at the moment. But...
Oh, to end on such a witty note.
Right. I think I don't think we can top that, can we?
Not at all.
All right. Top stuff. Thanks for listening, everybody.